So again, thank you so much for being with me today. It's a very unique opportunity for the three of us to be together. I've known y'all pretty much probably the exact amount of time because we met when I started my career at Intel, and both of y'all have been extremely influential in my career, but also advocates for my journey that I've been on, not only in the corporate world, but also outside of the corporate world. So to start that off, just real quick question: what did y'all feel? Or what did y'all go through when I shared with you that I was leaving corporate America to go and start this little business that I started working on?
You go first.
I thought it made sense. When you first said that, I was like, yeah, I can see you definitely doing that full time. And I think if you're dedicated doing it, I was certain that you'd be successful in that. So for me, it was more like, yeah, this is a time to start following like your heart and your passion. And what a great time to do it. In this transition period of your life, and if anything, trying it and and excelling in it, and then figuring out like what you want to do with that.
I think for me, I wasn't surprised, like at all. Like I was not surprised. A little shocking when it took place, but I wasn't surprised to what you said. I knew that this was a passion point for yours, and I actually was encouraged because I think there's some times when you just need somebody to do it to show that it can be done, and you did it, right? And I'm like, well, if Eric can do it, I can do it too. Now, I ain't done it yet, but I'm working on it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm working on it, but it's exciting to see, and I always knew that if it didn't work, you could always come back, right? And I think that's the space of knowing if it didn't work or didn't get what you wanted, you could always come back, right? And so I was excited to see you take the first step.
Thank you, Koran. With that said, y'all have also been on a journey of building your own personal brands. How has that been going? What have you learned, and what can you share with others as y'all been in different journeys on building out what it's like to own your own personal brand and put yourself out there?
I'll go first. It's been a journey for me, right? I'm still trying to figure out who and what I want to be, right? Because I think one of the biggest things that I had to figure out was what people saw me being and who I want to be, and really making sure I understood which one was more important to me. And so me understanding who I am and not being convoluted by what people expect me to be was something that I had to work through. And so now I feel like I understand who I am and what I want my brand to be. It's been great, right? You've been helping me with that as well. I have other people helping me with understanding what my brand and kind of stepping out on that. So I'm looking forward to it continuing to develop.
For me, it's been quite different because I feel like when I think about my brand or even what I do in social media, there was a time where I've always kept my personal life and then like my work separated. And so often I would talk about work and it'd be like the company I'm at, the work I'm doing, not so much my passions, right? Just talking about the work because of the title I had in my job. And so I had this external brand of this is my current title. And so I'm talking about those things that are relevant to my job. And then meanwhile, I have these private accounts where I'm sharing about my family, what I'm doing, like going, me as an auntie, me as a mom, and not really mixing that at all. And now I'm in this place where my passion is really about helping other people, and particularly those who are pursuing STEM careers, and how do we advance them and progress them through their career. And I have to talk about personal things because I feel like it's not just my personal things, but people have to know that I'm a normal person. I have to wake up early and get my kids ready. I, have to juggle a bunch of things, work, being an author, and then also being a mom, a daughter, and wife, and all other titles that we have. And so it's this blend of what that means, right? And how much of me do I want to share? And what's nice about in today's world that people want to see who you really are, right? Not just this fake, whatever you put on social to make life sound like it's amazing.
And one of the things too I learned from y'all, and again, I'm extremely grateful that y'all entered my life and my career when y'all entered it, was the importance of advocating for myself. And you, Orietta, and you, Koran, were always in the rooms that I was not in, advocating for Eric Rodriguez, and I'm extremely grateful for that. But I also know that there was a lot of conversations that we had behind closed doors individually, and said, and you were always giving me that coaching, that guidance of advocate for yourself. And again, I'm still a work in progress. I'm still learning to do that, even in this new role that I'm in. With that said, why do you think sometimes we struggle to do that? And what would be your encouragement to others that are watching this today and say, you know what, I wish I had an Orietta in the room. I wish I had a Koran in the room. Well, now you have an opportunity to be in that room with them. What would be your encouragement for them?
Well, I think answering the question, why do you think it's tough for us to advocate? I think there's a cultural piece to that. I think there's this piece of we're humble and, often, at least in the Latin American culture, we don't brag about what we do. We don't come home and at the dinner table talk about our awards or what we did at work that day. Everybody's kind of equal amongst your hermanos and stuff, right? And so I think part of that is culturally. The second piece is we also feel that it's not just about bragging, but there's this idea that when we're in college, we just deliver work and we get the A. We didn't have to tell our professor, oh, I'm the best, or I know the answer. We worked on it and we got the A. And the thing is, when you're in corporate America, it's no longer the same. You have to advocate. Just because you're sitting there and delivering the work, even if it's early or better, unless you're saying, I want that promotion, they're not going to give you the promotion. And I think those are like kind of myth busters that we don't learn. And especially I didn't learn as a first-gen college student and first-gen person like in corporate America. And those are the things that I feel like are the root cause of like why we don't do it.
And so yes, Ed, like absolutely. I think the culture piece. I think the other piece too is really organizational structures. I don't think that they give space to certain individuals to be able to come and have those conversations, right? And if and when we do, it may not sound like what they're used to, and so we may not get what we've been asking for, right? And so there's this, how do you go and talk about getting a promotion or have, and so we may or may not know the rubric, and so sometimes we don't feel comfortable enough to even go down that road. And then also, nobody's told us that we could, right? Nobody has told us that we could go and get what we want. To your point, it's just always been do your work, it will show up for you. And that's not the case. Like there's times I know where individuals didn't do the work, but they had a big mouthpiece and they got the role knowing that she was better than I was, but I got it because I had the bigger mouth, right? Or I built the relationships. And so it's a lot of different things, but I would say you have to empower yourself to feel confident enough about the work that you are doing, what you bring to the organization, and being able to champion that if nobody else does. And it's hard because you have the imposter syndrome. We talked about that before, right? But you have to be able to step into who you are and know what you bring to the organization as much as you possibly can to get what you need to get out of the organization.
And I just want to add, I think one of the things that you said, it is about you have to have this relationship and trust with your manager that you're able to be vulnerable. And not all managers are going to say, hey, Eric, let me coach you on this real quick. I need you to tell me this, right? And I think that's the other piece of it, right? Is when you're comfortable with your management team, you're going to be like, hey, I don't know how to do this. I want it, tell me how I can do this. And sometimes we need to feel that comfort and that relationship with our leader to even have that discussion.
And if I may, can I?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and then the other thing too, rejection is hard.
Oh yeah.
Like rejection is hard. You think you're good, you're gonna go and you're gonna say it, and they tell you no, or whatever the case may be, or whatever. So rejection is hard, but we also have to be aware that we may get a no, and we have to be okay with that as well. So it's not just stepping up to the plate and asking. You have to be prepared for the response. And I think sometimes we don't think about that, right? And sometimes the response could be, Orietta's helping, okay, it's no for right now, but let me tell you how to get there. And then there's other times where leaders be like, nope, you're just not ready. And you have to be okay with the response, right? So I think I just want to put that out there.
Right, I love that.
And that resonates with me a lot. I mean, that goes back to, again, one of the gifts that y'all gave me was building that muscle of not only advocating for myself, but being comfortable with also having those no's too.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're building out something from scratch, it's going to be also a lot of no's,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I don't
Absolutely.
think I would have had a chance to do that if it wasn't having both of you in my lives. And that's a wonderful gift that y'all given me amongst so many others. So to wrap up the conversation today, again, I've shared with you several of the gifts that y'all have given me on this journey. Is there any gift that I've given you on this journey as well that you would like to share with the audience?
Yeah, so first of all, friendship. I think relationships are so important, right? I think we cannot be an island by ourselves regardless of what we're doing. If we're stepping out on our own, if we're at work, family, whatever the case may be, right? We are human beings that are made to connect. And so I think relationships and friendships are so important, right? Authentic ones where you can feel like you can talk and share. I think the other piece that you have given me, and I'll be very candid, is the fact that you did it. Like, I'm watching you do what I want to do, and so you are my, model at this particular time, good, bad, and in between, right? And it's been great to see. So I thank you for that, because it gives me encouragement to say, if Eric can do it, I can too. So I thank you for that.
Thank you.
For me, one of the things that I think when I think about you, Eric, is you're very optimistic and positive.
Very much so.
And that's my favorite thing. Any situation, anything that's happening, you're always thinking about that rainbow and the horizon and what's at the end of that rainbow. And I'm very much a pragmatic person, and so I'm very like, okay, this is what's happening, and I often think about you because you always look at like that bright side of stuff. And that is, I think that's been probably the biggest gifts that you've given. And that's not just to me, but I think everyone you surround yourself with, you're just always so optimistic and so positive of like just the opportunities. You look at everything as an opportunity. And I think that's just wonderful.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, again, thank y'all so much for being part of my life. Thank you so much for being part of this Future of Human Experience special episode that which we'll have out there. But again, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the friendship.